Yo, what's up, everybody? So just before we get into this week's podcast, we have some really exciting news. On Wednesday the 29th of January, Queen's Film Theatre in Belfast will be hosting a screening of the Lil Peep documentary, Everybody's Everything. Straight after the screening, we'll be hosting a live podcast with Andrew Moore. He's a writer for Clash magazine and co-founder of Belfast party throwing outfit, Cailean. So the live podcast will be about drug culture and modern music. Tickets are only $6.95, but if you use the code MABFIELD, you get them for £4. So if you go in the link in our bio or in the comments section, alternatively, you'll get the link to the tickets, buy them there, use the code MABFIELD and get them for cheaper. The event is in association with Lumi, which carves out a space in Queen's Film Theatre's 2-screen cinema to create events that young people actually care about. If you want to follow them on Instagram, it's at Lumi, ATQFT. So just a reminder, that's Wednesday the 29th of January, Queen's Film Theatre in Belfast. The film starts at 6:20 and the podcast starts at 8:30. So grab your tickets, use the code MAPFIELD, and I'll see you there. So we've pretty much got a mega lineup of people here from all over the place. So end of year sort of shit going on here. So we'll go around the circle and just introduce ourselves, I guess. So there's me, Mab from Mabfield, Dylan.
Jack, also from Mabfield.
Shane from Soldo.
Jamie, also from Soldo.
Dylan from Dublin.
Kelly from 909 and Dublin Digital Radio.
Better da Silva from More Than Hustle and North Pulse.
Cailean Coffee from Sold Out and what's the other one? Golden Plaque.
Yeah, but it was one of them sort of things where I think we were all looking at like all the singles and all the records came out this year, and it's a pretty mad list when we were going through. But did anybody have like any standout ones that came out like that they were looking at? To be honest, like it's one of them where the list was so big and I was like, oh, this one, and you kept like telling me more and more that were coming out. But did anybody have a standout one for them, or was it pretty much a mishmash?
I think the issue is there was like 5 or 6 different standouts like of the year for like everyone in the room, and those 5 or 6 are all gonna be different for like whether we're talking about songs or albums or artists or anything. They're all gonna be different for everyone as well. So there's a lot to cover in terms of 2019 in Irish hip hop, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I'd pretty much say that like rap defined this decade in terms of music, and we're sort of catching on to it a bit late, I guess, but like there's a lot of good shit that's come out. What would you say in terms of like more melodic like trap stuff? Was there anybody that had like something along that? Because for me, like Out of Love by Amma and Nonsense Magnus, like, yeah, that was sick.
That's a sick sound. Like, I don't know. I thought Bobby Baz was pretty sick for some of that too. Like trying it here, like even the switch ups of like makeup and stuff like that.
I think someone who puts a nice little spin on a lot of the melodic stuff is my boy Upbeat. Enter Aquarius came out this year. That's one that I already had down as probably one of my favorite projects of the year. I remember it getting sent to my email at the start of the year, and like this was still at the point where I was kind of only getting into things, so I was kind of a bit skeptical. I was like, who's this kid like emailing me his stuff? What a dork. Like, what the hell? I didn't get how it worked at all. And then he was like, oh, can we please like get it onto RT Pulse, like please put it in the playlist? And I was like, all right, bro, let me listen first and then I'll see. And I listened to literally Purple Lights, the first song, and I thought it was incredible. I thought it sounded like nothing that was coming out of the country at all. And he just like continued to impress me throughout the year, not just because of the melodic trap stuff that he was doing, but just because of the sheer diversity of what he put out over the year, and like how even from talking to him, he doesn't want to make 2 songs that sound the same. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of a guy who loves all aspects of music and just like is doing his best to cover as much ground melodically as he can with the time that he gets in the spotlight as an artist. So definitely Upbeat, Enter Aquarius, one of my favorite projects of the year. If we're talking about the melodies, the boy can sing.
I would have said the same thing about Amma, because I know when you were talking about Upbeat, because like he's a weird guy, but he's cool at the same time. Yeah. But he has that duality where he can do the rap thing and he can do the melodic thing as well.
Yeah. And
for me, it's Amma, and he switches that up. Like I know you've probably heard his album, I Once Was. To me, that's one of the hardest albums like this year. Probably not like top or anything like that. I'm not a list guy, but it's more or less up there. But he has that duality as well, where he can do the rap and he can do the singing, plus he can do a spin on the trap. So if he wants to get gritty, he can do that. If he wants to make a little girly song as well for all the girls and shit like that, he can do that too.
I think he's probably one of the cleanest sounding spitters in the whole country. Like everything just sounds like hyper clean, like radio ready. Do you know what I mean?
Hair Squad as well.
Yeah, sort of follows that same sort of train. Yeah, like they released a load of singles. I think they hadn't released anything for ages, and then one of the first ones
they
this
come
year
back
was like,
year, like
100 Miles came out, and that was a banger. Like I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then they had Petty halfway through the year, which just again shook everything that they had done previously up entirely. And it was just like great to see an artist just refresh themselves in 2019 more than anything else. Because this year was like, yeah, it was about a lot of artists coming up and like getting their start and everything like that as well. But you even saw like some of the kind of more original or OG of the Irish rap scene kind of refresh themselves again, like with Hair Squad, of course, and then Mango and Mathman finally got their project out too, and just
Little Dialect as well.
yeah, Little Dialect back again, like just loads of people like that who, you know, could refresh themselves as artists in 2019. It was really cool to see as well.
I think a big one for me with the melodic stuff is Pat Lagoon. I think particularly the collaboration with Evan Miles, I just thought it was a really nice blend. I thought it was really interesting. It's a different sound to what we're hearing kind of elsewhere. The kind of housey elements, that dancey sound is really unique, I think. I'd really be excited to see more collaborations between them. I think as a pair, they could do well to put out a full release together. I think it'd be really interesting. And I think he has kind of like a somewhat of a commercial appeal. I think I could imagine him doing well on like radio type music as well. And yeah, I think there's something charming about listening to him. And I think, yeah, he's definitely a standout for me.
I think last year he like brought out a lot of trap bangers, and then this year he's definitely switched it up. Like Nova and stuff was a lot slower, a bit more like emotive, and then it's just nice to see people experiment. And I think that's the stage we're getting to now, where people are like starting to find their own sound, but feeling comfortable to just like branch out that a little bit more, because they've established themselves. But yeah, I mean, Pat Lagoon's sort of going strength to strength, isn't he? And it's nice to see a diversity, like you're saying, upbeat. Whereabouts is he from again? Like,
God
it's out
knows.
west,
That man
isn't it?
lives all over
Or-
the country.
Yeah.
Like.
And then you've got like Pat Lagoon's from like Waterford, and then like Amma, is he from Galway?
From Longford.
Longford. Well, yeah, there you go. You know, it's all over the show. Like,
Even with Pat Lagoon, just going off of that, like one collaboration that was huge for me this year was Rickshaw and Pat Lagoon. Rickshaw, you know, had an incredible release out this year. I'm scrolling through Junk Food. Yeah, there you go. One of my favorite projects of the year this year as well, and that's another case is like, you know, where he can blend the melodic elements, but he can actually spit as well. Like one of my favorite singles of the year, like that by Rickshaw, only came out a couple weeks ago, I want to say. Yeah, like, and like that's just like again the perfect blend, the melodic trap, but like he's absolutely killing it as well. And I'd love to see more collaborations between them two boys next year as well, because they just, whenever they get together, like they never ever miss, like at all. I think they're an incredible duo.
I think it's an important thing as well, which both of them are capable of like being able to actually write a hook, because it's easy to write something that's soft or something that's poppy, but it doesn't mean it's catchy. It doesn't mean it sticks with you. And I think that's something that stands out with Pat Lagoon, is like, this is in my head. I'm going to come back to this because it's stuck in my head. Exactly, and it's stuff that makes people want to sing along. Because I think sometimes there is a bit of a slip with like trying to make something that's accessible, but actually doesn't do something poppy, because
it's forgettable almost.
if it's forgettable, then you've just made something that isn't impactful because it isn't particularly unique, but it also doesn't have a hook, so I'm not going to remember it. But I think that's definitely something we've seen developed a lot more this year. I think there's been a lot more catchy songs that will stay in your head afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, last year when I put out a video, and it was like top 10 projects or whatever, and there wasn't a lot of projects to actually choose from.
I think you had like, I'm trying to remember, is October year high up on that list?
October, yeah, it was definitely on this. Can't remember exactly what number, but it's like there was pretty much about 15 that I could have chose from, honestly. And then this year, like, even with singles, like the list that I had written up there was just like fucking
massive.
insane. Yeah, and like I think as well, like the Southwest is doing a lot of mad shit, and I think they've like got their own sound almost, like the likes of Citrus Fresh, Hazy, all them ones. And we're talking about all these different artists. The diversity, I think, is like the main thing for me, that like there's something for everyone right now. Is there anybody that you've discovered this year that you were talking about Malachi earlier?
Yeah, I think Malachi, of anyone, considering he's only been in it 9 months and he's only been working at it 9 months, I mean, he's doing incredible stuff. I was at the gig last night and that man got a crowd. Like, he knows how to work a crowd, he knows how to work a stage. Butterfly Glory is fantastic. I mean, if there's anyone I was to watch going into 2020, I'd say it'd be him, because him and Alex Goff, I'd say, are the two that are really going to have a massive year. Definitely. And Alex Goff himself, he's had, I mean, that EP was fantastic. 80%. Breakfast was definitely my song of the year.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely loved it.
Very certain there, like.
But that's just, it was just because he goes to college in Cork, it was coming out of every house party in Cork. It's just one of those rare things that, because maybe in Dublin there's so much coming out that it kind of doesn't get the attention. But in Cork, Alex Goff stuff, Ghost King is Dead. We got, like, there's a ton of stuff coming out, but breakfast was coming out of every house party, every car, every playlist. It was practically everyone's study playlist for the summer.
No way.
Yeah, it was huge.
See, like if it's Belfast and it's just like kneecap really, so I can't really imagine people like get your Brits out like whilst they're fucking doing their essays. Like, yeah. But yeah, even like
Depends what essays they're doing.
yeah, politics one coming up like. But I think like even Leo Miyagi, like he had sort of like he went a bit under the radar this year, I think, because his releases were good and like I don't know, I think there's just certain people that I don't know for one reason or the other. You're talking about Rickshaw, like. I think he's like an incredibly accomplished artist.
I feel like every time
swept away
he releases something, and every time I like talk about that release, I feel like he's being slept on as it's released. You know what I mean? Which is just a crying shame to me because he's so young as well. Like he is literally only getting started, and I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's people like that, like Rickshaw, Leo Miyagi, who I think like in any other country in the world they could be like #1 charting 100%. But like whatever it is about this. I don't know, like people like that who maybe like I would have given a lot of attention to throughout the year, but I think it's also to do with the just like abundance of fucking releases that went out this year as well. Like it's getting even more competitive, but it makes it even more special when you find something that you like. You know what I mean? Because it becomes yours. Like Rickshaw, Upbeat, them boys. Like I know them personally, but like I claim ownership of their music. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that has a real connection with me, which is nice because I had so many to choose from, and I picked those two boys this year. You know what I mean? So. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice thing, but also you get downsides like that where people get slept on a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying about like having a connection to stuff. Like I remember when Delhi Daydreams came out, I was like, fuck, like it resonated with me so much. And then when Green Diesel came out, my first listen, I was kind of like, I'm not really sure on this. You know, like it felt a bit like I know they'd switched the style up a lot, which is great. There's loads of bangers, but as time went on, I really started enjoying it. I think I went in with a preconceived notion of what it would sound like. And it's just straight up bangers, but for me, like I think that's probably up there on my like
when
projects.
We were talking about melodic stuff earlier. I felt like that project was very like let's get a live show together.
They were supporting Slow Tie, like, and it's like you can't go and do like fucking Eviction Notice with Slow Tie, you know what I mean? It's like you have to be playing the bangers. So I think that they had that in mind, and like. Yeah, I think Green Diesel's top 3 for me for this year, for sure.
Even songs like Phoenix came out, like the video came out a while after, and I don't feel like I really appreciated that song.
Fruity Pebbles is something that I always hear quoted around college and stuff.
Yeah, no, a Green Diesel, an incredible piece of work, and they had so much to live up to as well between the two of them. Not just Kojak with Delhi Daydreams, but with Luca Palm not having put out a full release of his own. Before that, it was really highly anticipated, and like as you said, listening to it at first glance, it was so different from Delhi Daydreams. It really wasn't what like anyone expected. That it kind of took you off guard. But as you said, it absolutely grew on me as well, and what made it grow on me even more was seeing it at the live show and seeing it the way that they intended it to be heard. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, as you said, like it really was meant for a live show at the Academy. Yeah.
See, the whole thing I think about it, what it is like in Ireland, like we're quite self-depreciating, and like Delhi Daydreams kind of had an element to that. Whereas, like, when you hear rappers being really braggadocious, sometimes you're kind of like, no, you're Irish, you're not allowed to do that. But, like, rap is, that's what it is. And, like, I think it's good to hear more people doing that. And, yeah, I don't know, just full of bangers.
Yeah, I do think sometimes when I listen to it still, like, it kind of sounds like when Luca Palm's spitting sometimes, it's like my little brother talking about sex. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, this feels a bit weird. But overall, I think it's a really good tape, yeah.
How often does your little brother talk about sex?
I don't actually have a little brother.
It makes the whole situation even weirder, bro. Yeah, well, Luca Palm, if you're watching, man, we appreciate you, except for Jack. So, yeah, no, hearing it as it was, and then, like, hearing even the tracks on it, and, like, now that you mention it, the Slow Tie thing does make sense. Because, like, when I listened to it, I remember tweeting something like, Slow Tie better hop on a remix to spit that out. Because that literally sounds like, down to the beat and everything, sounds exactly like, what one of his songs on Nothing Great About Britain would be. But, like, even going back to the Academy there, like, that was one of my highlights so far as live performances were concerned right there. Did anyone have anything that, like, when they saw it live really, really struck them?
Fuck, I was in Dingle for the Voices. Did you get to see He Is and all down there?
Yeah.
That was genuinely one of the best performances I've ever seen, full stop. Like, him, Gavin Da Vinci, who else was it? Denise Chaila, and...
Just God knows there.
He like didn't do anything. He just sort of abdicated his set and like give it to them, and who else? Outsider YP, and it was just like the energy was just off the charts. And they're like, I think, do they do like a monthly show?
The Prescription lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prescription play together constantly, and it's or they're PX now, aren't they? Yeah, PX. The energy at those shows is just insane. Like I caught them all together at Knockanstockan over the summer, and it was the highlight of the weekend. Like everyone just going crazy. The energy, the passion that they have, and they all have such charisma with each other, and like, what's the word? Like, not charisma, chemistry. Yeah, they have such chemistry with each other. Like, it's insane. It's so mumuch fun as well. And it really brings their music out, and I think that's a really important thing with acts that maybe have less polished beats on recording. When you see them live, they really come into their own. TPM is another big example of that for me. It really comes into its own. I think you have to see it live to fall in love with it. I think those lads are a real good example of that.
Yeah, I think we've seen TPM in
Voodoo.
Belfast. Yeah, and there's like, to be honest, it wasn't like a sold out show or anything, but it was the most gas show I've ever been to in my entire life.
It's probably the funniest show I've ever been to.
Yeah, like,
when they did like that Dirty Priest song.
Yeah.
But it was only about like, I'd say like probably like 30, 35 people in the room, but it was almost like half a stand-up show, half a gig.
Yeah, I saw them supporting Mark Rebele there like last month in Vicker Street. I had no idea before showing up that they were going to play at all, and then they came out stage and I went, oh shit, here we go. Because like no one around me, if I didn't know they were playing, no one around me knew who they were. Like it was crazy. And even hearing people's reactions or just looking at people just as their jaw like dropped just watching these boys on stage was just kind of like, it was a real proud moment for me. I was like, yeah, that's Irish hip hop there. That's great, you know. So
I think I've seen them like 7 or 8 times this year. I've seen TPM, and I've seen their trad band, the Mary Wallopers, as well. Like, and I don't like trad music, but I'm still like, yes, TPM.
They probably know that. They probably know that, and they're following you around.
Yeah.
If we're talking about live performances, I mean, Jafar's in the church at Other Voices was a very special moment, I think, for a lot of people. I wasn't there personally, I wasn't in the church, but even watching in the pub next door, people knew the words, people were singing along. I mean, that's something I'd never really seen before from an Irish artist, from an Irish rapper. And even him just stepping up on the Friday, giving a show of his life, I think that'll go down as something very special. The same as Russ and Gano family winning the Choice Prize. The same as some of those big moments when we kind of look back in 10 or 15 years. I think that'll be massive.
Here's a hot one. Which hip hop acts are going to get nominated for the Choice this year?
Yeah, probably none of them.
None? Really? Do you not think Mango Mathman will get nominated? I think that'll get nominated.
If anyone's gonna get nominated, it'll probably be Mango and Mathman. But then again, when you do these kind of award things with hip hop, this is just me personally. With hip hop, a lot of people just get it wrong. You know, like there's certain projects that have come out. Like I'm sure fucking Westlife will get nominated or something like that, right? And rightly they should, because their album was hard as hell, you know. But you know, when you think about hip hop and these award shows, like when you look at like the Grammys or like the VMAs or whatever, you know, they really do get these things wrong, and then they always kind of vote for the people who are like popular. It's a popularity contest. If you're thinking about Irish hip hop albums, I don't want to be pessimistic or anything like that. Mango Mathman will probably definitely be there, because to me that's a moment. Yeah. And I've in my life doing radio for as long as I have, there's been 3 moments for me with hip hop, and that's when Delhi Daydreams dropped, when the Stride launch party, and when Casual Work dropped. Those are 3 moments to me so far, and because of that Mango Mathman Casual Work moment, they will probably get nominated. But then I'm looking at people being shortlisted, like Amazon there. It's
just a massive long list though. There's loads of people like coming out being like, I've been nominated, and it's like everything that qualifies was on the list.
Yeah, I was just like, I wanted to shut that shit down. I was like,
but if you say it, you're called a hater.
I thought like, I mean, like, mean what you say, like, kind of thing, you know, like, if you say what you mean and then like just figure out them consequences later, you know. But I don't know who, I think it was Ireland. I shut the people down. It's like, yo, you weren't nominated, it was just shortlisted, you know. But you know, I don't know. Who else do you think?
Well, I think you made an important point when you said it was Stride, Mango Mathman, and Delhi Daydreams. That's all within a year of each other, near enough. So like maybe it's on the rise. But I mean, you've got like Fontaines and all. They're going to get nominated for sure. And it's like it's a pretty busy year for nominations.
There's so many Irish artists, but like what's great about it is like Irish hip hop is now taking up a significant portion of it, you know, and it's again just going back to the whole competition thing. Like things are heating up, which is fantastic for us to sit here and watch. Like, and it's like feeling like we could go for however long this year and talk about it for however long we do on this episode this year, and then next year we could go double on it again, and it's just going to keep going and going and going until one day maybe there isn't the kind of loss of representation that you might have in the Choice Prize. And I think it's only going to take a while to get to that point. You know what I mean?
I think it was probably a somewhat worrying time, even with the long list. Like, I know it's separated from the judging, but even the long list, like, so many hip hop projects were left out of it. There was very little hip hop on it. They had like Mango Mathman, they had like the obvious ones, but like there's like indie bands on there who've played to one person were included on the long list, but they just didn't really put much rap at all in the long list, which gives me a bit of a bad feeling in advance. But then I think, you know, the Mango Mathman album definitely was a huge moment. I think people were pissed off about Deadly Daydreams last year.
Why were they pissed off?
Well, I think a lot of people were, well, I don't know, in terms of like comparing albums, I'm not gonna argue over the particular albums that won or whatever, but I think people definitely had thoughts about whether hip hop should have won it last year with Deadly Daydreams.
Like, the whole thing was the album that won, the band had broken up.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I don't know how seriously that album was taken when they were creating it. You know, I don't think it was like they were aiming for the Choice Prize.
I think there was definitely enough like discussion around the time of like, is this the year for hip hop with Deadly Daydreams and stuff. So I mean, I feel like people will hopefully be more open-minded to going into it. We have Russ and Gano family getting it before it, so we know that there is a mind for it and there is an appetite for it. Just hopefully, it'd be nice to see more than just Mango Mathman being given the nod, especially considering how much indie music I think gets the nod each year. So
If anyone else was to get the nod, who do you think it would be?
Suppose it'd be Jafar's.
yeah,
Tebby Rex as well.
That'd be the obvious one.
It would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tebby actually.
Tebby Rex. I think them boys are gunning for it. Like, they really are.
Like, genuinely, like, I didn't really enjoy a lot of their work before, and I was like pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the album, because I'm not really into a lot of the pop rap stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, shit, this is actually like pretty fire. Do you know what I mean? And like, I loved the like spoken word like interludes from Natalia O'Flaherty on it, and like, yeah, it was like one of the surprising albums of the year for me, to be honest.
I think they had the idea for so long, and they would try and describe it to people, and then people wouldn't get it. And then when the album finally dropped, people listened to it and went, "Oh yeah, no, that's what you were talking about." I thought it was incredible. It was genuinely one of my favorite pieces of the year. And seeing it live again in Lost Lane there last month was just like, again, felt like a real victory for them. But it's nice to know, with like, you know, they're obviously talking about the Choice Prize on Twitter and all. Like, I feel like if anyone else was to get the nod, you know, it'd be between Stride and The Young Will
I
Eat
think
the
they
Old
would
for
give
me.
the best acceptance speech if they won.
I think so.
I think they'd have the most gas speech.
What was it? I think it was either one of them said that they were going to get something tattooed on them. I don't remember what, but if they won, they said they'd get something tattooed on them, and I think that would be hilarious to see happen. But yeah, I think if anyone else is getting the nod, it'd be one of those two albums for me.
With that album, I think that was, personally anyway, I think that was the funnest album to listen to. Like, I could feel the energy. I could feel the fact that they'd known each other for so long, had such good crack, had enjoyed making it. And I think that really stood out compared to a lot of other projects where it can get very heavy and the themes can get very heavy. Whereas with these guys, like Robin Season is just fun. It's a fun song to listen to. You feel hype whenever you do listen to it. I mean, that's a tough thing to portray, especially across 30 minutes or 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, just like the chemistry, like the whole thing with like acts that we're seeing these days, the chemistry, like I don't think many acts have better chemistry than them boys all together, especially when they're on stage. Like, I've seen them a couple of times this year now, and like every single time they just seem like they're having the time of their lives. Like, you know, looking at them, that's what they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's never just a gig for them. It's like them going up and having the crack with their mates, which is just like an incredibly inspiring thing to see. So I think they maybe deserve it. Just, again, that album was so fun to listen to, as you said. Like, just one of the highlights of my summer is that coming out, and then like every single day after that, just listening to whatever like song it was off that album to wake me up in the morning, especially Robin Season. That is a morning song if I've ever heard one, to get you ready for the day.
I think if we're talking like a personal choice as well, I'd love to see Bucky's Pens and Loose Ends like be considered. Do you know what I mean? Like, that recently stood out to me a lot as well.
I think for me, like, I'd always felt like with anything that Finch had released before, like, it was like I enjoyed it, but you could tell there's just so much more there. And like that sort of poetic notion that he has throughout that was like, I feel like that's what he's been pining for, and he kind of actually accomplished it this time around.
Exactly, like he really curated it and got it right on that album. So, well, EP.
Yeah. Was there any like actual music videos that stood out to anybody this year? Like, because we were talking about Phoenix earlier, and
Yeah,
like,
and the Cub the Dude, Right and Wrong. That one.
yeah, that one's pretty sick. Yeah, was there any music videos stood out to anyone?
Phoenix was going to be one I was going to throw out straight away.
Breakfast, Alex Goff. Any video he puts out is pretty damn good.
I think to throw a new name into the mix, an artist that I discovered this year as well, because they only really started doing stuff properly at the very start of the year, and whose visuals are just like like they say that their visuals are half the work in comparison to their music. Like they treat them as equal. Sour Fruit, their Talo Blue, when it came out at the start of the year, even the video for Save the Bees and everything that accompanied it was just incredible. Like even down to the most minor details of like their website for Gonzo Collective, it's all so nicely designed, and the music videos, it all ties into each other. Like that, probably one of my favorite videos of the year, just because of the sheer like, you know, creativity behind it on such a
like that as well. Like
yeah, on such a low budget as well, because it's literally like one of the first things that they've ever put out. It was really, really cool. Probably, yeah, one of my standout artists of the year. One of like a couple of lads that I'm really excited to see what they do next year as well, because they're only getting started.
Yeah, definitely got like that indie tinge to what they do as well, and a bit more accessible to a lot of people going through. But they're super young as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like literally like all like my age, which like I'm a baby, so like, you know, like but yeah, no, they're incredible. Their music video Save the Bees, like just, yeah, and even with the whole like alternative look at hip hop, like again going back to the diversity that we have, like you have, like we started this talking about the melodic trap element of it, and now we're talking about whatever the fuck Sour Fruit is. You know what I mean? Like it's such a diverse range coming out of Ireland. I think they're a great representation of that.
Has anyone got like a hardest song, like not necessarily the best, but like I've been having Out of Love on rotation, like flat out. Like if I ever need like pumped up, I'll just like fire that on, or like Phoenix is the other one, or even like Shanduka from Jafar's, like, you know,
Fight
it just goes
Club.
hard as fuck.
Fight
Club.
Club,
The video
yeah.
for that is insane as
I
well.
had to get that one in there.
Yeah. The new national anthem, it's being dubbed, came out this year. Full of Lies by Payfox and Odeezy. Like that song is like, I'd throw that on, like cry but in an angry way. I don't know what it is. Like it's incredible. Like that song hypes me up big time.
I think String Theory by Strange Boy as well.
Ooh, yeah, like I'd love to hear more of that. Like he can rap over anything, I reckon.
Yeah, that's like the kind of sort of like Danny Brown vibe of like really hard beats.
Throw out ADHD by George as well.
Yeah.
That one is just like him having fun on a track, like just showing what he can do for just 3 minutes straight, and just like he does it so easily as well. And then you see him do it live, and it's even easier for him. Like just more stuff from him next year. 100% is what I want to see. But that one again hypes me to fuck up.
I think as well, both video and hard anthem Confessions by Say La Vie de Me. When that came out, I was like, because I'm a huge fan of her. I love most of what she puts out, and she's really excited me this year. Really excited to see a longer project from her. But when that came out, I was like, whoa, this is such a smash in the face, and it's over already.
The video especially.
But the video is unbelievable. It's so intense. It's so cool. It just came out of nowhere. I was really taken aback by it. And also just her in general this year. She's got a really interesting approach to releasing music. Like she does it very sporadically without much hype a lot of the time, I think. But I'd love to see like a full project from her, because I think she's super talented.
Yeah,
we had her on the podcast and we were talking to her, and she was saying that for the first 3 years of her making music, she didn't actually release anything. So like she would just do freestyles live, and she would go and just do it off the dome, and I was just like, what? Like,
yeah.
Was that when she supported Matt Miller?
Yeah, and Lil Wayne as well.
Wayne in the 3 Arena.
That's insane. Like,
She was just like,
Yeah, she was like, oh, Matt Miller's a lovely guy. Yeah, it was like, are you gonna say anything more? But no, she it'll be out by the time this comes out, won't it?
Yeah,
It just came out, yeah. But yeah, she's gonna have two EPs coming out next year.
oh, very good. Okay, perfect.
And like one of them is like what she's been doing now, and then another one after, which she's like got a bit of a different sound. So I think we'll definitely see some more substantial
I'm
stuff from her.
super excited to see her in 2020. I think, and she really has like a star quality live as well. Like she gets everyone on side straight away. She's got loads of charisma. She really excited me this year. I think she's definitely one of my big ones to watch.
I think like a hard song that probably people were looking forward to for a long time. Rebel P and Mango, Heat Waves.
Yeah.
Like that one, like you saw that on the track list listening to the EP the first time, and you were waiting for that to come
licking your
on.
lips before
Yeah,
it comes on,
literally like eyes wide and like literally waiting for that song to come on. And then when it does, like it just hits. Like it really, really does. And Marcus Wood's production on that is incredible in that like he knows you're waiting for it, and he teases you for so long at the start before finally dropping it on you, and it's just as good as you expect it to be every single time.
Like I think a lot of these are like collaborations that we've seen. Is there any collaborations that people would like to see that they haven't seen already? Because like it's pretty cool seeing you say like Pat Lagoon and like Rick Shawn all come together, like Rebel P, Marcus Woods. Is there anybody that you would like to see come together? Because I feel like that's maybe something that we haven't got to mad level of, is like collaboration in the scene. Really, like there could be a lot more. I think.
I said it jokingly to Finch when I interviewed him for you boys there a couple months ago, but I'd love to see some sort of crew cut. Like, you know what I mean? Just like a fuck ton of boys hopping on a track, just like going at it for a while. Like, even if it was like any of the many collectives that have come out in the past year, whether it be Burner, whether it be like anyone else, like genuinely, I think a crew cut would be really, really cool. Just not even 2 people collabing, but like a fuck ton of people collabing.
I'd like to see Nilo and God Knows do a bit more.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like the one song that I find I'm repeating like every single day is Angel on My Shoulder by Nilo. That's probably one of my songs of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even Nilo has been teasing himself the last few performances that he's done. He's brought Cobb the Dude up on stage with him, and they have a song coming out that they've been working on, or they have done. I don't know where it is right now, like since summer, and like I really want to see that one come out really, really soon as well.
And Nilo's got the album coming out. I mean, what was it? He tweeted out that it was something like 12 songs, 35 minutes. I mean, that's, for me, that sounds fantastic. It sounds perfect.
Yeah, I mean, anything over like 35, 40 minutes starts to lose people's attention now. It's kind of sad, but like, it's just the way it is.
No, that's probably the perfect, like, for an album size, that's kind of what you want. And I think this is a real chance for him to make a statement, what with the Fusion Lab, with the collaborators he's working with. I think this could be a big year for Nilo, and something I'm really excited for.
He's kind of like an unorthodox kind of rapper, isn't he? Because like he doesn't like tattooed like punk artists go like dad. Do you know? It's like it's like, but it works. But I think it's like so many of the artists that are coming through in Ireland have a story, and that's like what draws me towards so many artists is like beyond the song, and like you can really get into his world with his music. And yeah, I feel like there's like such a history of storytelling here, and it's starting to come to fruition where people are really painting really vivid pictures. And I think like the more albums we get, the bigger that it's going to grow for everyone. And I think even like people give drill a lot of shit, but I think like they're like some of the artists here are like painting like really vivid pictures, even if it's not necessarily all true. You know, there's a real art to that sort of thing.
But you need to be careful with that shit.
But I think there is some serious talent in the way they tell their stories. But yeah, there's a couple of tracks for me. Like even there's one came out, Skitty Bop by like Officer. I think he wears that like Naruto mask. Man, that is so fucking hard. Like I'm just like sonically, I'm like really into drill, but I'm obviously people have got other opinions on it. But yeah, it's just interesting to see where the fuck like hip hop in general in Ireland's gonna go in the next year. With
like the whole drill thing, I suppose one thing that would be worth talking about is like the media representation of Irish hip hop and how it's grown. Like especially like people from all different kind of media institutions here, like with the drill short film that was released there a couple of weeks ago by Noisy. Do we feel like the representation that's shown of Irish hip hop has grown in any way, or is it more or less the same in terms of like mainstream publications?
I think it's difficult because I think we're still at this weird introductory stage where it's like think pieces about oh look, this new genre that exists, and that's like cool obviously because it gets attention in the first place, but that's like it hasn't moved beyond that where it's being accepted as the norm. Like we have a few good people like Dean Van Newen like covering Lutherist for Pitchfork is a really great example of that, but like other than that it is mostly these introductory things, and as long as it stays like that it's still going to be just like a passing think piece as opposed to something that people actively engage with because it's being reviewed in the review section by an international publication. So I think I don't know, we talk about this all the time I think, but yeah,
the Noisy thing was like almost clickbait. It's like whoa, look at how weird this is, Ireland does drill. You know, it's like because the other parts was like a crazy guy from Poland who like got his face all scarred, and it wasn't actually about the music, it's more just about the most out there stuff they can find. And like I don't think Irish drill is a crazy concept at all, but like to people outside of Ireland they're like whoa, because there was Australian drill, there was like Israeli gangster rap and stuff. But it's like you just don't want it to be taken as a gimmick in terms of like the genre. And I feel like we're starting to get to a point where people are hearing of Kujak in England and they're like, yo, this guy can really spit, like he's a really good rapper. And yeah, like I think maybe 2020 will be about getting past that, maybe hopefully, I guess, you know, for people outside Ireland, because to be honest, like I don't think we need to win over the people in Ireland to make it like legitimized or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's about like people everywhere taking it seriously, because you don't want it to just be like confined to Ireland. You want it to be taken seriously everywhere, really.
Yeah. And is it just in terms of Irish hip hop? What do you guys think? Do you think Britain is as far as it can go, or do you think it can go full Europe, States?
I think it can go as far as you want it to. I just think that a lot of people think that UK is like the next and last stop. Yeah. Because you see all these people, like especially for like the hip hop artists here, they see people like Jay Huss and Red Street 2 and Youngin and all this, and like, oh my god, they are charting, like, you know. And then you have our own people. Like, you know, we're talking about Rickshaw and Pat Lagoon and all this, and we have our own Irish charts and things like that. And once again, Westlife be heavy up on the top list, you know. And
I think I'm starting to blame you for that, though. Like.
listen. No, but this is real life, you see, because we have artists who make really good music, and it's not just quantity with them; it's quality. And the production on it is amazing. There's actual songwriters here. Some people are signed. Some people are using their studio time very well, and we're not reaching those charts. And then when they look up at all these UK artists, oh, if I move over here and start making waves, maybe I can reach the charts. They don't even think about America or even France or Germany or wherever, you know. I think you can take this music thing as far as you can. It's just that we have this little what's that metaphor, the small pond thing, that thing, like, you know. And it's just,
we're definitely in a bubble.
It's a shame, but there's
like,
more.
We're in a bubble, 100%. Like, and I think people are so concerned about, like, you know, getting out of the bubble. They don't really know where they're going when they get out there. But like, if you look at it, like, we have not even just artists, but like producers reaching international acclaim. Like, New Machine is a guy I was introduced to this year because he did Phoenix on Kojak's album, and I went back and listened to whatever he's done before that. Like, he's worked with so many people.
Kino, like, all these mad people,
absolutely. Like, incredible talent that you wouldn't even realize comes from Ireland. And then, like, if we're getting onto producers, we have Seabackle as well. You know what I mean?
Like,
like
a track with Merlin Woods before. He made one. Who's the other guy he made a track with? It was Chester Watson as well. He, like, was massive back in the day. It's
but
just like,
he's breaking out of the country without even stepping foot outside it. You know what I mean? Like, using the stream and using the internet, using absolutely everything to make sure that his production talents are heard, like, around the world. Like, he has an incredible amount of streams, like, on Spotify.
I think that's the thing that he struggles with, is almost getting the following back here.
Yeah,
like, because we were talking to his manager, and all of his most streamed countries is like America, Canada, Singapore or something, I think it was. So I think it's just him, like, trying to consolidate that fan base here.
Like,
it's the exact same thing with Jar Jar Jr. as well. Like, the exact same problem. Great internationally, millions of plays. No one was covering him in Ireland, and now he's had to, like, go back from scratch with Spotify and trying to get an Irish crowd and trying to get Irish attention. Like, I wonder what that is, though. I wonder, because it seems to be working for the producers. They seem to be able to get out there online without even entertaining an Irish base initially. I suppose maybe it is, like, maybe people just beats are a bit more anonymous, I guess. Maybe people are like, this is a thing I found on a YouTube playlist, I'm gonna follow it up. Maybe with rap it does come a lot more like your location or where you're based. Maybe people pay attention to that more. But yeah, it's interesting then seeing it happen in the inverse with
like, if we get deep on it, like, with lyrics, you're telling a story. With, like, beats, you implicate your own story onto it. You know what I mean? So, like, if you don't believe the story, if you can't connect with the story that someone's telling, you're gonna have a hard time supporting that artist. You're gonna have a hard time listening to that artist. Whereas with beats, like, the best producers can make you feel a certain way based on the experiences that you have had using just their beats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you then impose your feeling. Yeah, that's fair.
That was deep. I didn't mean to get that deep.
But going along from that, then, like, there's so many Irish rappers that I don't see how they wouldn't have international appeal. Jafar's the obvious one. God Knows is another one. Like, these are people who have, like, I feel like very universal themes, and you know, obviously there's specificities, but they're like, we listen to rappers from America who talk about their specific experiences, but they're professional, high standard rappers where I don't see why they wouldn't break through. I obviously understand maybe some of the limitations on stuff that's very specific, you know, stuff like the Limerick scene. I love it so much, but, like, harder accents to understand, like, maybe very specialised in terms of what they're talking about, experiences with slang or whatever. But artists like God Knows, I'm just like, I could see this being so popular way outside of Ireland.
Even with the accent thing, though, like, no one knows what the fuck Playboy Carti's saying.
Yeah, that's actually so fair, yeah.
Like, I think, especially the Limerick guys, like, they have their own sound that's so unique that I could easily see people in other countries enjoying it, even if they don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I genuinely think, like, if they had more support behind them, like, they would be doing mad numbers, because it's, like, so grimy, and, like, I think if you said to someone random, like, yo, this is, like, mad Detroit hip-hop, they'd just buy into it, you know what I mean? They wouldn't know, like, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's just this whole stigma attached to it. I don't know if it is, like, because it's from Ireland, or it's just, I just don't think there's a support base here to actually get the music out there either, to be honest.
People say a lot about supporting Irish music, but then a lot of the time don't actually buy the albums. They don't actually come out to the shows. It's like, oh yeah, this sick Irish rapper, but then actually don't really do much to support or get the name out there. So it's kind of hard to... And I think a lot does relate to the bubbles that people get stuck in, because they're like, oh, all of the people who surround me retweeted me, and this publication retweeted me, but, like, that's a small base. That's not as we saw in the British elections. That's a small base of your inner circle, I guess. So it's it's about reaching out to people outside of your echo chamber.
Do you think it's like collaborations maybe outside of Ireland, because it's easy to like it's probably easier to get someone within Ireland on your own track, but is it like it's reaching out, because like you've seen like Reggie Snow took the route of just leaving and getting Loyal Corner on tracks, working with like Jesse from it's like, do you think that's maybe something that people need to think about more? I mean, Evans Jr. got S1 on one of his tracks in the album.
A9 even, or was it A9 or Officer that you were talking about earlier? Got KSI on a track there earlier in the year. Like, that was huge.
And that's, I think that's maybe, because there's no, I think other artists will fuck with it. Like, it's, I don't think that's a question. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that that's a legitimate way of it actually?
I think Kojak will get a slow tie feature. I think.
Yeah, I imagine like Big Pig and stuff will feature as well if he drops an album.
Yeah, I think that would help. That would help him blow up overseas, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like I like, this is the thing, like this year is shaking things up, especially how I see things, how I perceive things with music, because I thought it was the surefire way, like collaboration is the only way to go and do it. But then you look at like JLOL, broke out this year, maybe across in London a little bit more than he had of in the year prior, because he got on the FIFA soundtrack. You know what I mean? It's little weird like bits of luck like that. I'm not saying that he didn't deserve it, because oh my god, incredible artist, but like weird shit like that, like you can never really tell how someone's gonna break out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no surefire way to kind of get out of the bubble. But collaboration is definitely one. I mean, even with Jafaris in recent months, we've seen the collaboration with Troy Crooks, and then all of a sudden he's on Jules Holland within 2 weeks of the thing coming out,
That is my man, Dower. Like, that's crazy.
That was mad.
I mean, I think that's a very good way to kind of start. If we get 4 or 5 names collaborating with different artists in the UK, in America, in Europe, and then kind of grow from there, spread out from there, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. But that being said, as you said, getting on a massive Spotify playlist, getting on soundtrack FIFA or Death Stranding or whatever, I mean, that could change everything.
I think getting on FIFA was such a smart move, like submitting into there, like, because I don't think many people would be thinking about that kind of shit. And like, Ozone is the quintessential FIFA track.
Oh,
like,
100%
you know what I mean?
is.
You just it just fits so well. And I think it's maybe just being a bit more creative with that. Like, I was talking, my brother has a mate that goes to school across the way, and he does TikTok. I still don't understand all this shit. Like, he plays with Jello like in his hands, and he literally gets millions of plays. And he has artists and record labels coming to him to like play the music in the background, and it's like thinking of these weirder creative ways to get your music out there.
Or even like with Love Island on in the summer. God, I miss it. But like so many people I know like are now listening to Soleil because one of her songs was like used as the advertising campaign.
Everyone knows that song now.
Incredible song, very well deserved. But it's just mad how that's how the people came to know about that song. You know what I mean?
I used to hear so much music through Call of Duty montages when I was younger. Like, I got really into like
Logic, Hoodie Allen.
Hoodie Allen's one of the ones. It used to be like my cover photo on Facebook. It's just like, but yeah, that's like how I got into certain artists, and it's like thinking of those more creative ways. And yeah, it's mad. Like,
all your street cred just died a terrible death right now.
I take down that Taylor Swift poster on my wall.
Nah, man, we're cool with that. Don't worry. Yeah, no, but there's like so many bizarre ways to do it. Like Soleil, for one, an incredible artist who I feel like we need to give a shout out to this year. Like just bringing Irish pop to whole new heights, especially where it needs to be. 100%, and she's collaborating with people across the seas as well. You know what I mean? Even on Love Tonight, like just incredible Irish talent. And it's nice to see that kind of Irish urban music, R&B, everything all come together and just kind of being put in the spotlight a little bit more.
And that's definitely something that is because obviously it's slightly off from hip hop, but general like Irish R&B, neo soul and stuff. It's been a really good year for that type
Big
of stuff.
Pig as well.
Big Pig is a huge one. April, she's only put on a few singles. Like she's gonna be huge. I heard she's working in London with some cool people or whatever. So there's gonna be cool stuff coming from her. Even the Shukra album, it's a bit more like neo soul, but like a beautiful album. Like there's just a lot happening that's on the kind of periphery of hip hop music. And I think there's like it's been a really good year for like interesting music and people making stuff that's really authentically themselves.
You're saying like on the periphery of hip hop. Did you hear that song by Delush featuring Strange Boy?
Yes,
that is like one of the best songs I've heard this year. Just so fucking interesting. I don't really know. Like, yeah, and it's like I feel like hip hop just seeps into every other genre so much easier than anything else. Yeah, maybe that's the way forward, like cross collaboration through other genres. Maybe, I don't know, because that's essentially a pop tune.
Yeah. Well, I said to the Tebby Rex boys when I saw them after they released I Never Got Off the Bus, like that song is radio gold. Like that song itself, the way it's structured, everything for it, absolute like 2FM were clawing at it. You know what I mean? Like that song in itself is just like, again, just a way of Irish hip hop seeping into different genres, because you couldn't even label that as any particular genre, that song. And it's the same with so many songs on their album, is they're not specifically hip hop, they're not specifically pop rap, they're not specifically R&B. It's just a whole blend of just everything.
Is there anyone we haven't mentioned that put out a
Oh,
project?
there's so many, man. There's so many. Yeah.
You know what? I'll just read out a couple just so we can. Yeah, like I mean, for me, like one of the standout projects for me was like Gavin Da Vinci Super Scumbag Mode. I know you'd said that as well. Just like insane, and he was telling us he whatever software he used isn't even actually music production software. It's like a sound.
Yeah, it's like a multimedia thing. Yeah.
There's that. We said about global warming, Butterfly Boy, Green Diesel, Tebby Rex, Evans Jr. Organized Mess. The two Citrus Fresh EPs were really good. He is his EP. Leo Miyagi, Finch, Denise Chila. That was only two tracks, but that was
insane.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They were very good.
Unbelievable. And the Pass the Aux chord as well was fantastic. When you were talking about fun releases earlier, straight away, Pass the Aux chord, unbelievable. So much crack, so much talent on it. Like God Knows and Denise Chila for me are just like two unbelievable talents. Their live shows are just electric, and every track, like Man Like Me is probably one of my tracks of the year. Just so infectious, unbelievable. Yeah, such a huge fan.
That's great. That was great live.
Oh shit, yeah, in Dingle. Yeah, that was mad.
I mean, that was special.
But yeah, like I feel like projects, like there's been a lot more, and there's gonna be more coming out. But I don't really know. Is there?
This is probably the first. I'm from Kilkenny, so this is probably the first year that I've ever seen artists from Kilkenny release hip hop songs and not be openly criticized, and not being bullied online, not being proud of it, and their friends supporting it. There was a hip hop gig. The first hip hop gig I've ever seen in Kilkenny was last night with Hazy Haze and Jim Dollar. I mean, they're releasing great. I mean, Chaz released Before the Ridicule EP. That was really good. Jim Dollar released the EP. That was Living Inside My Head. Very personal, very, very proud, quite a beautiful EP. And I think this is the first year that I've kind of seen it go outside of Waterford, outside of Limerick. We've seen Crackboy Mental in Cork doing crazy things. He's released 3 albums.
Yeah, I was gonna say how did we forget about that? Like he is relentless with his releases.
And his stuff with Messing is fantastic. Post-punk Podge. I mean, there's so much going on, but I definitely think this was a big statement year from places outside of Dublin, places outside the big kind of cities.
Yeah, like I guess that's like something that's come out is like everybody that we're mentioning is like from all over the shop, like. But yeah, I mean, was there any like? Do you want to talk about like more international stuff? I mean, we can kind of take we could pause.
Go on a detour.
Yeah. What is it? Sorry?
Go on a detour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, give me a second. I haven't prepared for this.
You gotta put the book away, man.
Give me 10 minutes.
Well, even like with the bridging the gap between Ireland and the rest of the world, like we were talking about it as like kind of this golden gateway to international acclaim is just collaborating international artists, but you can also see it go one of two ways, which we did with Poor Evans Jr. this year, who got YBN the Mirror on Organised Mess, and that just blew up. I remember that like so vividly in my head, seeing that on Instagram and him just being fucking raging about it, rightly so. But like, what do we think about that? Like, you know, Irish artists kind of almost being fucked over by international artists.
Like
small country. They look at us as a small country, you know. So.
Yeah, I think for like YBN the Mirror, like even if if Evans Jr. was able to successfully, you know, follow him up about this shit, he's gonna be like, yeah, just literally take my lunch money here. Do you know, it's like it's not a bother to him. And like the way I sort of see Ireland going, like this could be completely wrong, but you look at like Atlanta, you look at like London, there's certain sounds in there like Atlanta is like its own thing within America. Maybe I sort of see Ireland maybe go in that direction, maybe having it. I don't know if we'll have one distinct sound, because like we're talking about like the Southwest and like Limerick have their very own sound. You've got people doing a lot of other stuff, but I sort of see people seeing Ireland as like its own distinct thing still. Yeah, there's just like, I think there's just so much diversity at the moment, and I don't think we'll ever subscribe to like what everybody else is doing. I think we're going to be like quite derivative for a while, but then once we sort of find our lane, it'll sort of stick like that.
What do we think our lane is?
Man, like I mean, it's so hard to like when you're in the spot like that. But like, I feel like
Relax, man. Don't feel like you just.
fuck. No.
Look at me. I am Mabfield now.
Personally, one of I think there's gonna be like a number lanes, but like one that I see being really popular is like you were talking about Maliki earlier, like that spoken word element, and we've done it for so long, but maybe not in a hip hop fashion. Yeah, for me that's like one that's quite distinctive that'll maybe stick out, but I guess everything is just a mishmash of what else is going on. I don't know, like does anybody else have any distinct ideas?
I think Daydreams is quite distinctive too. I was thinking about that earlier, like that's gonna be a real cementing moment, like that wherever Irish rap goes, that's gonna be a staple.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to like whether we even need a lane or not, because that's a debate that goes on from time to time. But what I love about us right now is that like we very openly and unashamedly do not have a lane, you know what I mean, like, and that's really cool.
That's
just
almost
to
a
even
lane in
see.
itself, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's really cool, like just seeing artists just like experiment and not feel confined by, well, this is the rap that's popular right now, so this is the rap that I need to make, or anything like that, as like maybe artists in other countries do, like not being confined by that, because rap just ain't popular in Ireland yet, you know what I mean. That's really cool in itself. It's just like sheer like unfiltered creativity. That's something that like about this era of Irish music I'll just like think about forever, you know what I mean. Like that's something that I'll be able to say like, oh, I saw when that happened, when it was just sheer unfiltered creativity.
Do you think we're kind of at a point where like when people talk really romantically about like grime like back in the days, do you think that this is kind of like a period of that
100%.
where people are like gonna be looking back and be like, yo, I was in the Sugar Club and this happened, yo, I was at the Berners Shaw and this happened?
Yeah,
do you think that's what it's gonna be?
Even like just in passing with like before we even started recording, talking about like casual work and like the listening party and everything like that, like that's something that like I'm gonna tell my grandkids about, you know what I mean. Like the fact that I was there, like, and 100% they were like, oh geez, Grandad's talking about the golden age of Irish music again. But like that was such a big deal to me. And even like Jafaris and the Button Factory for the launch of Stride, like so many moments like that this year, and even last year as well with like Delhi Daydreams, and then the year before that like Rusagano Family Choice Prize. Like there is 100% all these little moments that like don't seem like that now, but like in years to come 100% will mean much more.
I think the energy as well that's at so many, even the ones that aren't like launch parties, like when we were at the Anomaly gig with like Pat Lagoon, Leo Miyagi and stuff, like the energy there was just so nice, and it really felt like we were at the start of something. We were seeing like a constantly changing lineup of artists jumping up, performing for like 20 minutes, then jumping down, and everyone was really interesting. Like the crowd were really getting behind it, and it felt like being part of the underground or something. It really felt like and I think that even outside of the like big moment events, there's still this kind of palpable air of like, this is interesting, this is really exciting, I'm excited to see what, and it is, because it's constant change, because so many people are at the start of their careers, or even if they've been around for a long time, like a lot of stuff is developing now, so each gig is different. I think a lot of the time when you're seeing artists and you're seeing that development happen, so I think there is, it's a real sense. I was watching a documentary about the UK garage scene earlier this week, and like the start of it, and I was like, this feels so similar to like the small hip hop gigs that we're having at the moment, and that type of energy, and seeing a few people break through and everyone being proud of them, and then going back to playing small gigs and stuff. Like I think there's a real exciting energy. I think it's beautiful to be part of.
And Ben, have you seen like a difference in the quality of music getting sent through to you for radio?
Yeah, definitely. Jesus Christ. I remember when I started.
Some of them tracks are still on the system, man. They still come up.
Yo, have you been seeing them things? Oh my days. I remember when I think the first few that I was sent, like it was just like there was no mix and master or nothing. People were just sending it through. Like, no, but yeah, can you play this on the radio? I was like, it doesn't work like that, you know? Like you need to like there's a whole process behind this. But first, like yeah, it was terrible. It was like proper like potato quality. Like I couldn't listen to this. Like, and then I think it was maybe around the time when Longitude, not last year, the year before, when it just became like basically some big wireless fest with all these hip hop acts coming out of nowhere. The quality just started changing after that. And I was just listening to some, like, because I have like a whole like stash in my email, some that I've listened to, some that I haven't listened to, and I'd be listening to them like, oh my god, like this is like proper like studio like equipment stuff. One of the first projects that I heard that was proper quality was Seventh Obi. What's my boy's name? The guy that LHK. Oh my god, like his production on that was amazing. He produced every single song except for one of them, But every other song that he produced, like the quality on it was amazing. And I remember Astro had come out like 2 or 3 months before that, and I was like, yo, you can put that in the same category, because honestly, like the quality was phenomenal compared to when I started. Like it was trash. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it was disgustingly terrible. Like I'll say that forever. But this year and last year, like the improvement is unreal. Like I have to say that. Like
Yeah, I mean, for me, like when I first started listening to Irish hip hop, it was so much about like, oh, I've got the best bars, like I can rap really well, and like that's great, but like I'm not gonna fucking listen to this track over and over again just because you've got really good bars. That's just not me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now, like you were saying, there's like radio ready stuff, and you know that's not always what you want, but there is that diversity and there is so much going on. And I guess that like people are paying attention. Like I was doing an interview, and part of the crew, whoever was there, one of them worked for Radio 1 and was like, oh yeah, like I heard that tune from this Irish guy. I was like, how the fuck do you know about that? Do you know, I was like, this is like the most niche thing ever, but like people are paying attention. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I think YouTube and Spotify helps that massively. You know, if someone gets thrown into a playlist or if their video goes viral, it's like a massive part of it.
Even like this week with like another great release that came like in at the clutch at the end of the year, Local Boy Ruins Everything. Seeing him in Spotify's New Music Friday right underneath Anderson .Paak, that's so fucking cool, man. Like, I'll never get over that. Like that's insane. Like that wouldn't have happened 2 years ago when you're being sent the shit in. You know what I mean? Like maybe it would. Like, I don't know, but like it feels different now. It really does. Like even with so far as artists learning how to properly produce and mix and master songs that we can now go and play, like people are learning what it takes for them to be covered as well. Like even something so minor, but the press releases you get sent nowadays are so much better than what you got sent before. Like shout out to Finch, he released a great album. He had an even better press release. Like
his press release was hard as hell.
It
Did
slapped.
he have a couple of like funny bits in it?
Yeah, like folders and man. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, Nick. That's not important. But, like, shit, Finch, like, he knows how to press release. And there's so many artists, even with that, there's a level of professionalism that we're seeing now that's really, really nice. Like, people are starting to take not only other artists seriously, but also artists are starting to take themselves seriously and really, really trying to grind and find out what's the best way to go about being covered.
Yeah, I think what's been really important, especially over the last 18 months, 2 years, has been people's willingness to take criticism. People's willingness to be reviewed, people's willingness to listen to something that someone else doesn't think is right. Like if someone emails me a track and I say, look, the mastering isn't quite right, if you just pop the vocals down or whatever and maybe change the lyric here or there, people are actually open to listening, which when I started out, that was not the case. You get your hate mail, you get your tweets, you get your everything, like, but I think people's willingness to kind of be open to make changes, to listen, I think it's been really important. It's really seen a lot of people kind of grow and develop as artists.
I think producers as well. Like producers are the unsung heroes of like everything improving. Because the stuff you're saying about like people being able to spit bars, like that's great. It can be really interesting. And then if you don't have good beats behind you, like it's not going to hit. And so many people have been excellent this year. I think Odisi's a huge producer for me. I think that man has so much talent. He just creates, so like he makes a beat like every
like even the little snippets he throws up on Twitter are better than half the shit that you hear like anywhere else, you know what I mean? Like better than any other beats that anyone is producing. Like hands down best producer in the country for me.
Yeah, unbelievable. And like and this is the thing, because I started getting maybe a bit complacent of a bit of Irish hip hop. I was seeing a lot of stuff that was just emulating trap type beats, and like it, even if the bars were interesting, it's still a trap type beat that isn't interesting. So it's so much rests on producers. Mankey and Limerick is a huge example of that for me. The stuff he makes is so Marcus Woods, obviously. Like it's when the producers are interesting, you stay with the track because it's more than just lyrics. It's an overall package that's enjoyable and new. I think is a huge
100%.
thing.
And with the variety that we're seeing in our artists as well, like in terms of lyricists and people in front of the mic, behind the mic, we're seeing such a variety with the producers that we're getting. Like even if you think of like maybe two of the most successful of the year, like we're talking like Mathman, you know what I mean? Like him by himself, he's in a whole other lane to even Odisi and like LHK and all these other boys. Like there's so much variety all over the place now.
Yeah, I totally echo like what you said. Like I was just getting absorbed there.
Question, Dylan.
Yeah.
How did you meet Tyler, the creator?
When is he coming in? Like that's the only reason I'm here.
No, it was actually a pretty mad one. This is totally off track, but basically when I was at uni, the guy Jasper who like just hangs about with him, just tweeted, has anybody got a University of Manchester Wi-Fi password? And I was like, hell yeah. I was such a stan. I was like 18. I was like, yeah, I was just really into it. So I tweeted him. I was like, yeah, I've got one. And he DM'd me. I was like, what's your email and password? And I was like, oh man, you know, I'm in with the crew here. Like, they're going to love me. So I was like, I sent it to him, and I was just like, nice one, man. And then just as I was writing the message, he just blocked me. And I was like, oh, motherfucker. And then like, I was just like, oh, well, that's how it goes. Went to the show, unreal show. And me and my mate were just like walking out the back, and we're like, oh, that's really annoying. You know, it would have been cool to meet him. Jasper's like walking across the top of this balcony as we walk outside, and I just shout up. I was like, yo, I give you the Wi-Fi password, and you didn't even reply to me. And he goes, no, don't worry. And he came down, and he was really drunk, gave me a free pair of like golf wang socks. And then Tyler came out, and like we were skating about for a bit. Yeah, so he's on the podcast now. I'm joking. Yeah, that's how I met him.
Wow.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps it up. That's it. The highlight of the year in Irish hip hop. Mad feel convincing everyone that they had Tyler the Creator on their pod. People are gonna be so disappointed when this comes out.
Yeah.
All of us together, we are Tyler.